Today's news highlights. Date April 7, 2025. News highlights: Trump declared April 2 as American Liberation Day to promote reciprocal tariffs. Former Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer pointed out that globalization has led to the loss of wealth in the United States, a slowing economy, a technological regression and a workers' woes, advocated a trade balance through tariffs, revived manufacturing, and stressed that Trump's policy mix would not trigger inflation. News highlights: the rise of AI agents will change the consumption model and business ecology, from people looking for goods to AI looking for goods. AI can handle shopping, ticket booking, and price comparison, affecting the operation of search engines and e-commerce platforms. Enterprises need to adjust their marketing strategies and optimize the integration of data and AI to seize future business opportunities. News highlights: Gen Z is often labeled as anti-stress and irresponsible, but in fact, they just show a different sense of responsibility. Generation X and Y emphasize cooperation and obedience, while Generation Z values self and boundaries. However, in the eyes of supervisors, the sense of workplace is still evaluated with the degree of cooperation and responsibility as the focus of evaluation, which affects promotion and retention. News highlights: Mr. Hassett, the White House economic official, said more than 50 countries had approached President Trump to negotiate tariffs. Although it has attracted global attention, the US side said that the impact is only short-term. The reactions of various countries have been mixed, with Taiwan planning to use zero tariffs as the basis for negotiations, and Vietnam and Cambodia also starting dialogues in the hope of resolving disputes peacefully. News highlights: Mr. Maha, a financial expert, suggested that ETF can be used to save education funds for children, which is better than fixed deposits with interest lower than inflation. She emphasized that ETFs have a low threshold and reasonable cost, and are suitable for parent-child learning. Stock selection and bond ETFs can be matched, and pay attention to the 5 major investment priorities such as discount premium and liquidity, so as to cultivate children's correct view of money from an early age. News highlights: the United States imposed an additional 32% reciprocal tariff on Taiwan, and President Lee King proposed 5 major response strategies, including negotiation for tariff improvement, industrial support, medium and long-term economic development, Taiwan's new layout, and industrial listening trips, hoping to defuse the impact and strengthen Taiwan's economic resilience and global competitiveness. News highlights: the Trump administration opened the humanitarian corridor of tariffs and released the exemption clause 9903.01.34, allowing products that account for more than 20% of the production value in the United States to be exempted from some tariffs. However, the U.S. requires that products must meet the Made in USA standard, and non-U.S. origin supplies are tax-free. TSMC's new factory in Arizona, USA, will play a key role in helping Taiwan's electronics industry reduce the impact of tariffs, especially for major customers such as Apple and Qualcomm. News highlights: the U.S. tariffs triggered a global stock market crash, and the FSC issued the strictest short limit order in history since April 7, including reducing the total amount of securities sold to 3% and increasing the margin ratio of securities lending to 130%, effectively preventing foreign investors from shorting and speculating, and strengthening the stability of the market, and the measures were temporarily implemented for 5 days. News highlights: President Lee Ching-te proposed 5 major strategies for the United States to impose tariffs, including using the US-Canada-Mexico Free Trade Agreement as a reference, striving for a zero-tariff agreement between Taiwan and the United States, and resolving non-tariff trade barriers, propose industrial support plans to assist small and medium-sized enterprises in upgrading and transformation, promote medium and long-term economic development plans, promote the Taiwan Plus. One strategy to improve the investment environment: start a journey of listening to the industry, solve industry problems at any time, and ensure that policies are close to needs. News highlights: this year's comprehensive income tax declaration ushered in 3 major tax reduction red envelopes, which are especially beneficial to multifamily families, renters, and families with children. First of all, the basic living expenses will be raised to 210,000 yuan, so that multifamily families can deduct an additional 32,000 yuan. Secondly, the deduction of rental expenses has been changed from an enumerated deduction to a standard deduction, and the deduction ceiling has been raised to $180,000, which is beneficial to renters. However, there is a wealth exclusion clause, which cannot be applied to those with an annual income of more than 7.5 million yuan. Finally, the special preschool deduction for young children has been extended to children under 6 years old, and the exclusion clause has been abolished, so that families with children can enjoy more discounts. News highlights: Kong Jinrong, has been married to his wife Zhang Jiapi, who is 18 years younger, for 14 years and has a pair of children. He once earned 5 million a month, but then disappeared for 8 years, and last year he reappeared in the rivers and lakes to host variety show First Class Awesome, and took over many endorsements and spring wine, with an income of 10 million. Recently, Kong appeared at the dentist's clinic, wearing a trendy suit but looking weak, revealing that there was a health problem, and his gums were swollen due to long-term illness and busy work. He still tries to spend time with his children, waking up early to drop him off at school and spending time with his family. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump announced reciprocal tariffs on the world, triggering a plunge in global stock markets. U.S. stocks fell heavily for 2 consecutive days, with Taiwan stocks falling more than 2,000 points at the open, losing 20,000 points, and TSMC recorded the largest decline in history. Trump reacted calmly to the market, saying he didn't overcare about the $6 trillion evaporated in the stock market, and stressed that sometimes it was necessary to take some medicine to get things in order. He noted that trading partners want tariffs to be lowered, but there will be no room for negotiation unless they pay large sums. News highlights: a man surnamed Chu in New Taipei City complained that he was stopped by the police when he rode a U-bike through Bangqiao late at night on the 4th, accusing him of being fined by mistake when he stopped waiting for a red light, and criticized the police for being aggressive. After the police inspected the secret recorder, they confirmed that the police officer's attitude was gentle and not excessive, and Chu Nan did run the red light in violation of the law. The police pointed out that the investigation process was carried out in accordance with the law, and Chu Nan did not cooperate with the investigation, which caused the police to call for support. In the end, Chu Nan was fined between 300 and 1,200 yuan. News highlights: the Trump administration in the United States announced the imposition of reciprocal tariffs on the world, triggering a sharp drop in global stock markets, and Taiwan stocks collapsed by more than 2,000 points at the open, falling below 20,000 points, the largest decline in history. TSMC opened with a heavy drop of 94 yuan. U.S. stocks also fell sharply for 2 consecutive days. The Dow Jones Index fell below 40,000 points, and the Nasdaq entered a bear market. In response to the stock market crash, the FSC announced 3 interim measures, including adjusting the margin ratio for margin trading and reducing the number of borrowed securities sold, to stabilize the market. News highlights: South Korea's popular live broadcast main penguin sister Yoo Yeonjun was banned from entering the country by the Taiwan Immigration Bureau on suspicion of illegal work. When she came to Taiwan in 2023 to participate in the one-day store manager event of video games, she violated the regulations without applying for a work permit, resulting in the cancellation of her employment gold card and the temporary inability to enter Taiwan. The Immigration Department said that if Yoo Yeonjun meets the requirements, he can apply for release from control after 3 years. This incident has caused regret among netizens, and is similar to other cases of foreigners holding employment gold cards but being controlled to enter the country. News highlights: the New Zealand women's national football team refused to participate in the friendly match scheduled for April 8 due to the condition of the field at the Nansa Football Stadium in Kaohsiung not meeting safety standards, and announced the cancellation of the game. The New Zealand Football Association said that despite communication with the Taiwan Football Association and turf improvements, the venue still did not meet safety requirements. The Taiwan Football Association apologizes for the cancellation of the match and will refund the cost of the spectators who have purchased tickets. The incident sparked strong criticism from Jiao Jiahong, former Deputy Secretary General of the Football Association, accusing it of being a national shame. News highlights: Taiwan stocks were affected by Trump's reciprocal tariffs in the United States, and the Qingming consecutive holiday opened with the largest drop and the largest decline in history. The index fell by more than 2,000 points in early trading, falling below the 20,000 point mark, and the points back tested to a new low since early March 2024. News highlights: in the face of the U.S. stock market crash and market turmoil, Trump insisted on the new tariff policy, emphasizing that it was to correct trade injustices, and stated that he would not back down even if the risk of a recession was triggered, and continued to promote America First economic nationalism. News highlights: Trump announced tariffs of 10% to 50% on more than 180 countries around the world, hitting Nike and other American companies hard. Nike, which manufactures mainly in Asia, has been severely affected, with its stock price plummeting, costs soaring, product prices likely to rise, and supply chain restructuring making it difficult to achieve in the short term, posing serious operational challenges. News highlights: Taiwan's veteran technology stock Huazhong has stopped trading today because it has not announced its financial report, and if it does not improve within 6 months, it may be delisted, and nearly 40,000 stocks may become wallpapers. Investors must carefully assess the risks and pay attention to the progress of subsequent financial announcements. News highlights: miso soup is rich in probiotics and antioxidants, which are good for intestinal health and sugar control, but do not cook miso at high temperatures for a long time to avoid the loss of live bacteria. It is recommended that the soup be cooked before adding miso. Although stinky tofu is not easy to survive, it contains estrol, which is beneficial to menopausal women. News highlights: wanting to go to the toilet immediately after eating is actually the gastrocolic reflex that helps the intestines empty and welcome new foods. Coffee, fat, warm drinks, and high-fiber foods can all promote peristalsis. Good use of this mechanism can lead to regular bowel movements, but if there is a sudden change in bowel habits, you should pay attention to the gut health warnings. News highlights: in recent years, children's names have set off a craze for the character Mew, with popular characters such as N, Xi, U, Rui, etc., which have become a common name combination for the new generation. Netizens joked that they were playing permutations and combinations, and the kindergarten teacher also certified that this naming trend was related to the popularity of numerology and water attribute words. News highlights actress Aya founded the brand Aya Leo because she missed her mother, and worked with her husband to overcome challenges and keep the temperature of the table, and her career exceeded 300 million sales. The husband and wife sang about us to commemorate love and family, and also adopted a dog Beautiful, which became the new focus of life and overflowed with happiness. News highlights the 61st Baeksang Art Awards announced the shortlist, and IU Lee Ji-eun and Park Bo-kin both competed for the TV Emperor with Bitter Orange to Meet You, and the drama was shortlisted for a total of 6 items. Ju Ji-hoon and Kim Tae-ri were also shortlisted for Trauma Intensive Care Center and New Year respectively. A number of topical dramas gathered, and the competition was fierce. News highlights although Lulu, Hwang Luzian, and ex-boyfriend Ada, Chong Jing-seang, have broken up, the two still maintain a good friendship and co-host the reality show Night Market King. Recently, Lulu invited Ada and Meili herself to record a YouTube show, and the tacit understanding and interaction between the two caused heated discussions. In the film, Lulu and Ada look back on their past memories and show a relaxed and natural way of getting along. Although netizens expected them to get back together, Lulu firmly stated that there is absolutely no reunion. News highlights on the evening of April 6. Wilbur Pan's appearance at the Beijing concert caused heated discussions. After losing weight, he looked thin, the jawline was clearly visible, and he was even amazed by netizens as if he was 20 years old. That night, number 2020 number. In response to the praise of fans, Wilbur Pan responded humorously, "Do I really look 20 years old?" He also shared the secret of weight loss: drink 2,200 ml of water a day, eat light and eat plenty of vegetables. Previously, he was on the hot search because of his soaring weight. News highlights internet celebrity Zhong Mingxian recently mentioned in the Bailakuo News podcast program that many foreign people do not know Taiwan, but consider themselves Chinese culture, which sparked discussions. Subsequently, he posted a price list on social media, exposing how his peers were using the army to raise their voices or carry out attacks. He pointed out that if you find that the topic of the internet is unusually hot, it may be because there is an online army, and provides 4 suspicious phenomena to help identify and remind netizens to be vigilant. News highlights 40-year-old mainland actress Wang Mian has performed in The Legend of Ruyi, Love in the Courtyard, New Water Margin. Although not the main actor, but still a little well known, she recently announced that in order to prepare for pregnancy as a mother, so she stopped filming for more than 2 years, although the IVF was finally successful, but in the past few days, it was suddenly announced that the first child suddenly stopped at 10 weeks of examination, because of the abnormal chromosomal of the embryo, and the fetus was stillborn. News highlights Jackie Chung today, 6th. In the third performance of 60+ Little Arena, although the first 2 performances were self-deprecating as sexy voices due to nasal congestion and broken sound, they shocked the audience as soon as he opened his mouth. He revealed that he had the RSV virus and now has occasional nasal congestion, and laughed that he didn't have to worry about it, and he would do his best to perform. As for not singing at the big dome, he explained that the little dome is more suitable for this performance, which can get closer to the audience and make each link more clear. Thank you for your understanding. News highlights the 48-year-old female artist S. Suzy Wan, died of influenza complicated by pneumonia, and the family originally planned to be buried in accordance with her wishes, but finally decided to be buried in Jinbeisan so that her husband Gu Junyi could come to visit. Gu Junyi was deeply affected by grief, washed his face with tears every day, and lost 12 kilograms, and quietly went to the tomb to express his thoughts about Big S before the Qingming festival. Xiao SS family accompanies Gu Junyi through difficult times and comforts him. Gu Junyi has stopped all public activities and has no plans to return to South Korea, still spending this painful time in Taiwan. News highlights U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff policy has prompted more than 50 countries to enter into trade talks with the U.S. side. Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te said that Taiwan and the United States can start negotiations with zero tariffs, and stressed that Taiwan will not retaliate against the United States for tariffs, and the commitment of enterprises to invest in the United States remains unchanged. Lai Ching-te put forward 5 major response strategies, including striving to improve reciprocal tariffs, industrial support programs, and strengthening Taiwan-US cooperation, hoping to promote long-term and stable economic development between Taiwan and the United States. News highlights the CCP's Eastern Theater conducted military exercises around Taiwan without warning on April 1, which was criticized by European and American countries. The foreign ministers of the 7 major industrialized countries, G7, issued a joint statement on the 6th, calling the move a provocative action and expressing deep concern, emphasizing that maintaining peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait is in the international interest and opposing the threat of peace by force. The exercise was seen as a test of the new government's attitude toward Taiwan's security guarantees. News highlights after Chen Yangzi and Chen Xiao ended their 8-year marriage, they resumed their single life and lived a wonderful life. Recently, she was rumored to have an ambiguous relationship with Qin Hao, but it was revealed as a still because of a group photo, and the scandal subsided immediately. She attended Wilbur Pan's concert with her friend Rainy Yang, and she looked excellent and showed a positive attitude. In addition, Chen Yangzi frequently gathers with friends and enjoys every day, whether it is having dinner with Cai Kong Yang or attending concerts with Yu Yang Nana, her life is full and colorful. News highlights Taiwan railway fares will be increased on June 23 this year, with an average increase of about 26.8%, and this plan has been approved by the Executive Yuan. Ng Sheng Yuan, the political secretary of the Ministry of Transport, said in the Legislative Yuan that the increase would only increase passenger profits by 0.3%, and stressed that short-distance routes can be adjusted through T-Pass monthly passes. Legislator Liao Xiancheng suggested that the adjustment be made by year, and reminded to consider the impact of social perception and economic fluctuations on ticket prices. News highlights affected by Trump's announcement of reciprocal tariffs, global stock markets plummeted, and Taiwan stocks fell more than 2,000 points. YouTuber Alan liquidated his shares in March and shared his reasoning on social media, saying that he was concerned about the political instability in the United States and decided to take profits first. This move was praised by netizens, who thought he was visionary. Alan said that as a long-term investor, he will exit first when it is unstable and wait for the market to low before entering the market. News highlights the incident involved a wife Xiaomei who borrowed NT $30,000 from a bank employee Xiaoqiang due to losses in stock trading, and later asked her to be a sex slave on the condition of sex trafficking, and had sex with her twice. Afterwards, the bank clerk also sent pornographic text messages to the wife, which was discovered by the husband and sued. The new Taipei District Court ruled that the bank employee had destroyed the marriage and awarded NT $200,000 in damages. News highlights U.S. President Donald Trump imposed a new round of tariffs on various countries, causing global financial markets to be hit hard, and Taiwan stocks plummeted at the opening after the Qingming holiday, hitting the largest drop in history. TSMC and other heavyweights were not spared, and the stock market was bloodied. Taiwan's stock market has experienced many serious stock market crashes, with as many as 13 major declines in history, including a sharp decline in 1990 due to the securities tax policy, the Asian financial crisis in 1997, and the financial tsunami in 2007. The collapse of the Taiwan stock market has made many investors feel uneasy, and although the FSC has proposed remedial measures, the collapse of the stock market has not been stopped, making people worry about the future development of the global economy. News highlights Trump's tariff policy triggered a sharp drop in global stock markets, and Taiwan stocks were not spared, crashing more than 2,000 points in early trading this morning, the largest decline in history, and weighted stocks fell heavily across the board. In the face of the tragic situation in the stock market, the well-known YouTuber Tainan Josh chose to escape, deleted the securities app to comfort himself, and shared the mentality of if you don't see it, you won't fall. Netizens have called on him to exert the mysterious power of anti-indicators, expecting his words to bring about a reversal. Tainan Josh is known for his anti-indicator reputation, and has repeatedly predicted that events will go unexpectedly, and this time he is also expected to reverse the situation in Taiwanese stocks. News highlights U.S. President Donald Trump announced new tariffs on 180 countries, triggering a plunge in global stock markets, with the Nikkei and South Korean stocks each falling sharply, and Taiwan stocks also tumbling more than 2,000 points at the open. Despite the massive losses facing global markets, Trump said in an interview with the media that he was not worried about the losses in the market, stressing that sometimes it is necessary to take medicine to solve the problem. He also said that there would be no deal with Beijing unless the trade deficit with China was resolved. Trump's tariff plan will take effect from May 9, imposing tariffs of 10% to 50% on goods from many countries. News highlights TSMC stock price has indeed been in a weak position recently, and after the news of the cooperation with Intel, TSMC's ADR performance has been poor, which has put pressure on TSMC's stock price. According to analyst Sun Qinglong, TSMC's cheap price is about 862.5 yuan, and if the stock price falls below 763.1 yuan, it is regarded as a big special, which is considered a good opportunity for long-term investment. News highlights the U.S. reciprocal tariff policy triggered a plunge in the global stock market, and Taiwan stocks fell sharply at the open today, falling more than 2,086 points, or 9.79%, in early trading, losing 20,000 points, and falling as low as 19,212.02 points. Electronics, semiconductors, optoelectronics, and other major stocks fell across the board. TSMC, Honhai, Mediatek and other weighted stocks fell to the limit, and TSMC once contributed about 750 points of decline. In contrast, telecom stocks and public banks are relatively resistant to declines and have become market-stabilizing forces. News highlights on February 21, the Rate Committee of the Ministry of Communications reviewed and approved the plan for the increase of Taiwan railway fares, which was approved by the Executive Yuan. Taiwan Railway is expected to raise fares by 26.8% on June 23 this year, the first time in about 30 years. For example, Taipei to Bengkia rose from 15 yuan to 22 yuan, and Taipei to Hualien rose from 440 yuan to 583 yuan. Legislator Liao Xiancheng suggested that the increase be raised in stages year by year to avoid social dissatisfaction. Wu Shengyuan, the political secretary of the Ministry of Transport, responded that the fare is still lower than other transportation vehicles after the adjustment, and the social perception is considered. News highlights Sun Peng and Deying's son Sun Anzuo was successfully discharged from the army recently, and made a video with his agent to share his feelings about retirement. He revealed that he had learned discipline in military life, and jokingly mentioned that he wanted to improve the morale of the army and lead the soldiers to do more ground stand-ups. After retiring from the army, he plans to release a new song, Kill the 12, and is ready to develop his career. After being discharged from the army, he appeared more calm, his face was more rounded, and he emphasized that he was already a man and was welcome to discuss future job opportunities. News highlights pests in the home can pose a health threat and damage building structures or contaminate food. Professor Huang Sheiyi of Chengxing University pointed out that the 7 common pests include cockroaches, mosquitoes, fleas, dust mites, termites, rice worms, and bed bugs, which usually carry germs that may cause allergies, asthma, and allergic reactions. Professor Wang suggested proper disposal of food debris, reduction of stagnant water, regular cleaning of bedding and pets, and the use of professional control methods such as poison baits and mosquito control equipment to effectively control pest problems. News highlights Taiwan stocks fell sharply at the open on the 7th, and the index plummeted by 1,144.65 points, losing 20,000 points. TSMC opened at 848 yuan, down 94 yuan. CUNY investment advisors pointed out that the U.S. tariff policy and the escalation of the global trade war have caused panic in the market, which has dealt a blow to the confidence of Taiwan stocks, and it has become more difficult to make investments, so investors are advised to be cautious. All 4 major U.S. stock indexes fell, with the Dow Jones down 9.3% and the S&P 500 down 10.5%. The 3 major legal persons sold more than 3.08 billion yuan last week, and the Taiwan stock option chips were short. News highlights Trump's tariff policy has caused shocks to the global stock market, and Taiwan stocks are facing pressure to make up for losses at the opening of the 7th. Zhang Xi believes that the United States will be the biggest victim, the burden of tariffs will be passed on to consumers, and Taiwan's impact will be limited. It is recommended that investors adopt a balanced allocation of stocks and bonds, avoid leverage, and choose a dividend fund or a market capitalization ETF, adopt a timed quota and a large decline plus strategy, and maintain an optimistic view with stable long-term fundamentals. News highlights after the end of the holiday, the temperature in the north will rise today, 7th, and it will be generally warm and comfortable in various places, but the eastern half, Hengchun Peninsula, and the western half of the mountainous areas should pay attention to localized short-term rain. It is windy in the north, so you need to be careful when going out. There will be 2 waves of fronts in the coming week, hot and humid on Wednesday, rain across Taiwan on Thursday, a gap on Friday, and a change of weather over the weekend, with the possibility of thunder showers, an enhanced northeast monsoon, and temperatures will turn cold again on Sunday. News highlights a 23-year-old female college student surnamed Lai climbed the platform at Fuzhong Station and broke into the track, was hit by an incoming train, and was declared dead after being rushed to the hospital. The prosecution preliminarily determined that the cause of death was a blow to the head and abdomen. The incident caused the MRT to be suspended for 2 hours, affecting the operation of the train. Lai Nu, a senior student at National Taiwan University, transferred from Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall Station to Fuzhong Station that night, and her body has been returned to her family, and the follow-up investigation is still ongoing. News highlights U.S. President Trump announced a new round of high tariffs on April 2, imposing a benchmark of 10% on multinational products, and some of China's products even reached 32%, triggering violent shocks in the global financial market and evaporating $6 trillion in the market value of the U.S. stock market. Trump's son, Eric Trump, said on social platforms that the first country to negotiate with the United States will win, suggesting that countries should consult with the United States as soon as possible to avoid becoming the biggest victim of tariffs. The move sparked a response from various countries, and the market is worried that the resumption of the global trade war may exacerbate the international economic shock. News highlights Taiwan stocks fell heavily at the opening of trading today, 7th, with a minimum of 19,212 points in early trading, a decline of 2,085 points, an estimated trading volume of 375 billion, and a sharp decline in the OTC index, down 23.18 points. Electronic weight stocks generally jumped to the limit. TSMC, Honhai, and Mediatek fell 94 yuan, 15 yuan, and 140 yuan respectively. The number of gainers/losers indicates that the market situation is extremely poor, and the number of bearers exceeds 1,700. Inverse ETFs such as Yuan Taiwan 50 Anti-1 and other ETFs showed a daily limit, and the performance was strong in the opposite direction. News highlights affected by Trump's reciprocal tariff policy. As many as 50 countries around the world actively called the White House to plead for a delay in the tariffs, but U.S. Commerce Secretary Lutnick stressed that the tariffs will take effect on time on April 9 and last for days or weeks. Trump said he believed it was a necessary means to address trade issues despite the stock market decline, stressing that foreign governments would have to pay high fees to lift the tariffs. After the U.S. stock market plunged for 2 days, Trump's second son, Eric, called on social media for countries to negotiate with the U.S. as soon as possible, otherwise they would be losers. News highlights: the 61st Baeksang Arts Awards announced the shortlist today, 7th, and Netflix's Bitter Mandarin Orange Comes to Meet You became the big winner, winning 8 nominations, including Best Screenplay, Best Actor, Best Actress, etc. IU is once again nominated for Best Actress, her third after My Uncle and Hotel de Luna. Other shortlisted dramas include Running with Good Slaughter and The Legend of Mrs. Yu, and the broadcasting department has added more censorship standards involving OTT and online platforms. News highlights: Taiwan stocks jumped and fell sharply at the opening of trading today, 7th, with a minimum of 19,212 points in early trading, a decline of 2,085 points, and an estimated trading volume of 375 billion. The OTC index also fell hard, falling as low as 214.2 points, down 23.18 points. Electronic weight stocks generally jumped to the limit. TSMC fell 94 yuan, Honhai fell 15 yuan, and Mediatek fell 140 yuan. The number of listed companies was only 23, the number of declines was more than 1,200, and the number of down limits was close to 2,000. Inverse ETFs such as Yuan Taiwan 50 Anti-1 and so on are up and down, indicating that the market sentiment is extremely panicked. News highlights: the Taipei city government has set up a scalper prevention and control task force to investigate the sale of scalpers in accordance with the law. Since April 2, 2024, fines have been imposed in 86 cases with a total fine of $22,917,000. With a maximum of $2.64 million for a single case. Anyone who illegally sells tickets at a higher price, regardless of whether they are sold or not, will be punished in accordance with the Cultural and Creative Industry Development Law. The Cultural Affairs Bureau reminds the public that they must bear legal responsibility for assisting in the sale or listing of tickets, and provides guidance on payment by installments to alleviate financial pressure. News highlights: Taiwan stocks opened today, 7th, under the influence of Trump's announcement of the global reciprocal tariff policy, and the gap collapsed by 2,000 points, showing a comprehensive downward trend. In addition, 2 OTC-listed companies, Fumao Oil, 1,225, and Huazheng, 3,202, ceased trading from today because they failed to report their financial reports within the statutory deadline. Fumao Oil said that it has initiated the board of directors reorganization process and worked hard to submit supplementary financial reports to resolve the crisis, and if Huazheng does not submit supplementary financial reports within 6 months, it will face the risk of going out of the market. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump announced a high reciprocal tariff policy on the 2nd, and more than 50 countries approached the White House to seek countermeasures. Trump described the tariffs as a prescription for the market, and said countries would have to pay high fees to solve the problem. Trump stressed that he doesn't want the market to fall, but sometimes he needs to take some medicine to solve the problem. Despite the strong market reaction, which has wiped out more than $5.4 trillion in the U.S. stock market, Trump insisted that this strategy would strengthen the U.S. and ultimately make it stronger. News highlights: Trump's announcement of the reciprocal tariff policy triggered a global stock market crash, and after Taiwan stocks resumed trading on the 7th, they fell across the pre-market limit, killing more than 2,000 points, setting the biggest intraday decline. Taiwan's equity value stocks fell sharply, TSMC fell to the limit, and its market value evaporated by 2.4 trillion yuan. The FSC has introduced rescue measures, including a sharp reduction in borrowing and selling, and an increase in the margin ratio of securities borrowing and lending, but they have not been able to prevent the stock market from crashing. Only 4-tier inverse ETF stocks rose, while others generally fell into the lower limit. News highlights: death row inmate Huang Lingkai was executed on the evening of January 16 this year. Although the lawyers' team urgently appealed to several units that night to suspend the execution of the death penalty, it was ultimately unable to prevent the execution. In 2013, Huang Lingkai was sentenced to death for killing his girlfriend's mother and girlfriend due to emotional disputes and arrears. The lawyers' group applied to the Constitutional Court for a temporary punishment, arguing that there were procedural and mental obstacles in the execution of the death penalty, but the Constitutional Court ultimately decided not to accept it, and Huang Lingkai was still executed. News highlights: affected by Trump's tariff policy, Taiwan stocks fell sharply today, 7th, with thousands of stocks falling to the limit, and the market sentiment was pessimistic. The veteran oil mill Fumao Oil, 1,225, and the connecting wire factory Huazheng, 3202, will stop trading from today because they are unable to deliver their financial reports on time. If the two companies fail to submit supplementary financial reports within 6 months, the two companies will face the risk of going out of the market, involving more than 64,000 shareholders. Since Fumao Oil has not announced its 113th annual financial report, and Huazheng has terminated its appointment due to the termination of the accounting firm, the two companies will speed up the processing of financial reports to avoid further affecting the interests of shareholders. News highlights: the grayish-green turn of the yolk in the boiled egg does not mean that it is toxic, because the sulfur in the egg white reacts with the iron in the egg yolk when heated to form ferrous sulfide, which is a chemical reaction and will not be harmful to the human body. Experts point out that boiled eggs are a safe choice compared to soft-boiled eggs, which may carry salmonella and are more risky for children. As for eggs with different degrees of ripeness, the absorption rate of raw eggs is only 50% and the risk of carrying bacteria is high, and the absorption rate of soft-boiled eggs is about 80%, but it is still not recommended for children. With an absorption rate of over 90%, hard-boiled eggs are best suited for all ages. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump explained the reciprocal tariff policy on April 6, emphasizing that the move was to keep the U.S. from being treated badly by other countries and criticizing former President Joe Biden's leadership. Trump noted that despite the recent turmoil in global stock markets, he does not want the market to crash, but believes that sometimes it takes medicine to solve the problem. He stressed that there would be no agreement with China unless the trade deficit with China was resolved, and revealed that he had spoken with a number of European and Asian leaders. News highlights: the romance between Mondo, Otani Mainwater, and former Kaiwo model Oh Zion, Niu, is going well. The two have been dating for nearly 4 years and have 3 dogs together, and their lives are full of love and warmth. Niu has not only had a brilliant performance in the modeling industry, but also showed a wealth of creative talent, often sharing their sweet moments with Menduo on social media. Menduo said that the relationship is very stable, and has a natural attitude towards the future marriage and family, and the two currently regard the dog as their own child and prepare for the future parent-child life. News highlights: the U.S. reciprocal tariff policy triggered a global stock market crash, and the Taiwan government has urgently held a meeting with the industry to discuss countermeasures since the 5th, and Zhou Rongta, the premier, will convene the government and the opposition to discuss it on the afternoon of the 7th. The KMT, however, called on the ruling party to halt the general recall and said that if it wanted to cooperate, the DPP should first stop the action. In this regard, CAO Sim Cheng, the founder of UMC, pointed out that there are many ways to solve the tariff problem, but there is only one chance to expel the legislator who sold Taiwan, and warned the Kuomintang that it is trying to force the DPP to stop the general recall as a trick, and called on the people not to be fooled. News highlights: Li Yan and her husband Chen Maorong reacted differently to the sharp fluctuations in Taiwan stocks on April 7. Li Yan expressed her shock on social platforms, and shared that it was the first time she saw the stock market fall below 2,000 points in a single day, and said to fans that it's okay, squatting low is for high jump, showing an optimistic attitude. Her husband, Chen Maorong, was more helpless, revealing that he had suffered heavy losses in this wave of stock market crashes, describing losing a domestic car and believing that the market may continue to fall. His humorous response also resonated with many netizens, who portrayed the stock market crash as a rare big scene and took screenshots as a souvenir. This wave of stock market volatility has become a hot topic of discussion on social platforms, and has also caused many investors to worry about the future direction of the market. News highlights: Trump's reciprocal tariff policy hit Taiwan stocks hard, and 2 OTC companies, technology giant Huazheng Electronics and 39-year-old oil mill Fumao Oil, stopped trading today, 7th, due to their failure to announce financial reports within the specified time limit, facing a crisis of delisting. Huazheng's share price is only 3.96 yuan, and if it does not submit a supplementary financial report within 6 months, it will not be able to avoid a delisting, and the shares of more than 37,000 shareholders may become waste paper. As one of the 4 major soybean oil brands in Taiwan, Fumao Oil has not submitted financial reports and is facing the same fate of going out of the market. News highlights: Zhang Juning is known as the female stock god for her investment in Yehua Medicine, and has made a profit of more than 100 million yuan due to the soaring stock price. However, with the sharp fall of Taiwan stocks, the share price of Yehua Pharmaceutical fell to the limit, causing her holdings to evaporate about 39 million yuan. However, due to the low purchase cost, she still retains an investment income of about 60 million yuan. Zhang Juning emphasized that the investment in Yehua Pharmaceutical is not simply for financial returns, but hopes that its research and development can contribute to the treatment of diseases and help more people. News highlights: the 61st Baeksang Art Awards will be held on May 5, and the shortlist was announced on May 7. In the TV category, Bitter Mandarin Comes to Meet You became the biggest winner with 8 shortlists, followed by Such a Intimate Betrayer with 6 awards, Trauma Intensive Care Center and Running with Good Slaughter on Your Back with 5 awards each. In the film department, the works Jaehee's Boy, Friend and Revolver won a number of nominations. The finalists of each department are all powerful actors and variety artists, and the award ceremony will set off heated discussions. News highlights YouTuber Qian, who has become popular with her food unboxing videos, recently shared her feelings on Instagram, revealing that she has accumulated a lot of unsuccessful efforts this year and feels a little lost. Still, she thanked herself for daring to try and encouraged her fans to be more self-affirming. Qian also returned to her hometown of Erland to reminisce about her first experience of wearing glasses for myopia, and shared heartwarming moments at home, including her uncle's orchid and her brother's staghorn fern. She also recommended her favorite movies and variety shows to provide fans with a reference for their film lists. News highlights mainland internet celebrity Argentina Yang Quina died suddenly of sudden hypoglycemia on April 2, 2025, at the age of 38. Her husband, Yang Song, posted an obituary on Douyin informing his family of the sad news. Originally from Argentina, Yang Quina has been reported by CCTV and other media, and has become the image ambassador of Chongqing County. She settled in China after marrying her husband Yang Cheng, actively participating in local cultural activities and having a large number of fans online. Her sudden death shocked many netizens. News highlights affected by US President Trump's announcement of a 32% heavy tax on Taiwan. Taiwan stocks fell more than 2,000 points at the opening on the 7th. Veteran artist Zhao Zhengping posted a screenshot of the green stock market early in the morning, and said that he had cleared all the stocks 2 weeks ago and was not affected by this fluctuation. Zhao Zhengping revealed that as early as after Trump announced the tax hike, he foresaw that the stock market would fluctuate sharply, so he sold the stock in advance, and said that it remains to be seen whether he will enter the market again in the future. He also recalled that in the past, he had borrowed money from Wu Zongxian due to investment failures. News highlights Taiwan stocks fell more than 2,000 points at the opening on the 7th, and investors mourned, affected by US President Trump's announcement of a 32% heavy tax on Taiwan. In addition, the veteran oil mill Fumao Oil, 1,225, and the connecting line factory Huazheng, 3,202, have ceased trading since today due to the failure to submit financial reports. If the financial report is not submitted within half a year, it will face the risk of going down, and the assets of more than 64,000 shareholders of the two stocks may be reduced to wallpaper. Both Fumao Oil and Huazheng were required by the stock exchange to stop trading and face fines due to the failure to announce their financial reports. News highlights some users may not be able to download or view line photos after they expire. In response to this problem, some netizens shared the solution: you can long press the photo, and then take a screenshot after the screen is displayed, so that the photo can be saved. In addition, it is also recommended to save important photos to an album or notepad in time to avoid the problem of expiration. News highlights Dr. Zhang Xiaoshan shared that a 21-year-old medical student who vomited after playing ball and went to the doctor with uremia and kidney failure was found to have uremia and kidney failure, and the glomerular filtration rate was only 3, which was stage 5 kidney failure, and a kidney replacement was needed to avoid lifelong dialysis. He reminded that kidney abnormalities can be found through health examinations, with special attention to urine protein and glomerular filtration rate index, and medical attention should be sought as soon as possible when abnormalities. News highlights US President Donald Trump announced a 32% tariff on Taiwan, causing global stock markets to fluctuate, and Taiwan index futures and Taiwan stocks fell sharply. Cosmos, a veteran electronics manufacturer in Taiwan, announced that it will sign an agreement with Anho Jianyi and certified public accountants to set up a factory in the United States through cross-border financial services and actively seize the power grid upgrade market. Datung is optimistic about the growth of electricity demand in the United States and plans to work with local companies to enhance supply chain resilience. TSMC also plans to expand its investment in the United States to avoid new tariffs. News highlights Takeya Kimura, the King of Japan, visited Taiwan again after a 7-year absence. This time, he chose to wear the same personal outfit for 3 consecutive days. This outfit is from the classic American denim brand Levi's denim suit, including the jeans are Levi's classic 501 models, and the brand is a limited edition in collaboration with Japanese vintage store Burbergen on the brand's 150th anniversary. The reason why Takeya Kimura wears the same denim suit is to practice Levi's pants philosophy. Through long-term wear, the pants will have unique wrinkles, color drops, and damages according to the user's daily life and movements, and form jeans with their own personality. This has also become one of the fashion highlights of his trip to Taiwan. News highlights Trump's tariff war triggered global shocks, and Taiwan stocks opened today with a gap and fell hard, plummeting 2,086 points, or 9.73%, and falling below the 20,000 point mark. TSMC equal weight stocks all fell to the limit, and Yuanta Taiwan 50 plunged 20%. However, the market still saw anti-decline groups, with inverse ETFs and bond ETFs rising sharply, and Yuanta US Bond 20+2 bucking the trend and rising more than 6%, becoming a bright spot in the market. News highlights Taiwan stocks were hit by Trump's tariff war today, plummeting more than 2,000 points in intraday trading, and thousands of stocks fell to the limit, and the trading volume shrank to below 150 billion yuan, making it difficult to digest the selling pressure and triggering systemic risks. Li Fengguo, chairman of Uni-President Investment Advisory, pointed out that if it falls by 8% tomorrow, the brokerage will issue a large-scale financing recovery order, and investors need to make up the collateral within 2 days, otherwise they will face a broken head. He suggested that financing households avoid flattening and choose stocks that resist losses such as Chunghwa Telecom to avoid being forced to sell. News highlights: in order to solve the shortage of volunteer manpower, President Lai announced a salary increase policy, which can be increased to up to 12,000 yuan per month. However, experts pointed out that this may raise the problem that the salary of the chief officer is less than that of the subordinate and that promotion equals salary reduction. Lieutenants, in particular, are reluctant to be promoted to lieutenant officers because of the potential drop in salary after promotion. Some officers suggested that the establishment of a specialization bonus based on military departments, ranks, and positions, and that the current policy should be adjusted to avoid side effects by referring to foreign systems. News highlights: the man surnamed Chu entered a county government after taking the higher entrance examination, but made many mistakes during the probationary period, including not being able to use Word and Excel, going to work and fishing, arriving late and leaving early, etc., and had a poor learning attitude and was unable to perform his duties. Although he was dissatisfied with his dismissal and filed an administrative lawsuit, the court found that he lacked basic competence and that there was no improvement after guidance, and finally rejected the request for reinstatement, determined that the dismissal was reasonable, and became the most proficient civil servant certified by the judge. News highlights: a female netizen shared that she received a call that hung up as soon as she answered, which sparked a discussion among netizens. This type of call is not a scam or a prank, but a so-called number screening mechanism to confirm whether the call is valid and to build a database for the operator to use. When a call is answered, the number is considered valid and can be resold to other operators, causing subsequent harassment. To prevent being targeted, netizens recommend downloading the Who's Call app to filter out suspicious calls and display the call information for users to decide whether to answer or not. News highlights: after the 7.2 strong earthquake struck Hualien in April last year, the iOS Taiwan Earthquake Alert app was widely praised for its accuracy, and its developer, Lin Xiu, was a high school student at the time. Recently, there was an error in the app due to the surge in users, and Lin Xiu apologized to the user in the push and said that the app was maintained by him alone, please bear with it. Later, he also revealed that he chose to enter the University of Washington and did not use special recruits. After the incident was exposed, netizens expressed their gratitude for his contribution, and another Lin Xiu also left a humorous message to ridicule. News highlights: affected by the U.S. tariff policy, Taiwan stocks fell by more than 2,000 points today, the largest decline in history, and the market was in chaos. Veteran media personality Diz Highway posted on Facebook that this was the first time he had seen such a stock market scene in 51 years, and said that there is no time to escape, but then he reassured himself that he was glad that he did not concentrate all his funds on a single investment. He mentioned that in the face of the collapse, he could only keep his normal heart and continue to work hard, and comfort himself that his eggs were not in the same basket.